You're listening to a podcast by the Perennial Leader Project. Welcome back to Perennial Wisdom. As always, I hope this finds you well. Today's episode is about something most of us rarely talk about: quitting. From the time we're young, we're taught to admire perseverance. Finish what you start, never give up, stay the course, push through. And often that advice is wise, but not always. Sometimes the bravest, clearest, most honest act is not to continue, but to quit. Not from laziness, not from fear, but from truth, from discernment, from a deeper loyalty to what matters more than pride or the story we once told about ourselves. Ancient philosophy and spiritual traditions understood something modern culture often forgets. Quitting is not always failure. Sometimes it is loyalty to a higher calling. Part 1. Some paths must be abandoned for wisdom to begin. Two of the most influential spiritual figures in history were, by every respectable standard of their time, quitters. Siddhartha Gautama, the man we would come to call the Buddha, was born into privilege. His father arranged his life like a fortress. No suffering, no sickness, only pleasure, ease, and inheritance. The plan was simple. Siddhartha would be king. And then, one day, he left. The ancient texts tell us that when he encountered sickness, old age, and death for the first time, something broke open inside him. The life he had been promised suddenly felt false. So he walked away from the palace, wealth, power, and certainty. From the outside, it seemed like betrayal. From the inside, it was clarity. He did not fail to face difficulty. He refused to accept what didn't feel true. Heraclitus, the early Greek philosopher, made a quieter but equally radical exit. Born into an aristocratic political family, leadership was expected of him. Instead, he stepped away from public life and devoted himself to understanding the hidden order of reality. He wrote, quote, "A man's character is his fate," close quote. Heraclitus refused to let inherited power be his fate. And he is the one who told us, quote, "You cannot step in the same river twice," close quote. The river changes, and so do you. A life that once fit may no longer belong to who you are becoming. To stay out of loyalty to the past may be to betray the present. The first lesson of quitting is this: some stories must be abandoned before truer ones can be lived. The Buddha and Heraclitus did not quit because they were weak. They quit because they woke up. Part 2. Perseverance without discernment becomes a trap. We love stories of grit, heroes who never give up, but perseverance without clarity isn't always admirable. Sometimes it's just inertia. Annie Duke, former professional poker player and author of Quit, learned this the hard way. Poker punishes ego. The longer you stay in a losing hand out of pride or hope, the worse the damage becomes. She writes, quote, "The difference between a successful person and an unsuccessful one is not that the successful person never quits. It's that they quit the right things at the right time," close quote. And elsewhere, quote, "We tend to treat quitting as a character flaw, when in reality, it's often the smartest option available," close quote. Staying in a job that quietly drains you, a project that no longer makes sense, or a role you've outgrown can feel noble the longer you endure it. But as Duke reminds us, The world doesn't reward stubbornness. It rewards contact with reality. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus once said, quote, "If you want to improve, be content to appear foolish or stupid." Close quote. It's important to acknowledge that quitting often looks foolish in the moment, especially when others are invested in your staying. It can feel like public failure, but visible foolishness may be the cost of invisible integrity. Marcus Aurelius gives this advice, quote, "If it's not right, don't do it. If it's not true, don't say it." Close quote. The second lesson of quitting is this: perseverance only turns into wisdom when it is directed toward what is right and true. Otherwise, it becomes fear or pride hiding behind a facade of strength. Part 3. A finite life requires deliberate quitting. The most uncompromising argument for quitting does not come from gambling or palace gates, but from time itself. Oliver Burkeman, in his book 4,000 Weeks, reminds us that the average human life spans about 4,000 weeks. That's it. He writes, quote, "The average human lifespan is absurdly, terrifyingly, insultingly short. There is no possibility of fitting in everything we might want to do." Close quote. The harsh truth is that you will not accomplish most of what you could have done. You will not become most of what you could have been. Every, quote, yes quietly buries 1,000 other lives. Berkman adds, quote, "The truth is that you never really get to control your time at all. And the more you demand that you should, the more frustrated and anxious you're likely to feel." Close quote. We fantasize about managing time well enough to, quote, "fit everything in." But finitude does not ask for better efficiency. It demands selection. Monastic traditions understood this long before productivity culture. Monks and nuns quit wealth, possessions, public status, not because these things are evil, but because a finite life cannot carry everything at once. Even Jesus talks about quitting. Quote, "Anyone who does not renounce all that he has cannot be my disciple." Close quote. Renounce, leave, quit. There are many names for simply choosing a new path. The third lesson of quitting is this: in a finite life, you don't have the option not to quit. The only question is whether you will quit passively in exhaustion or deliberately in wisdom. In closing, the hidden logic of quitting is this: when we step back, a pattern appears. The Buddha quit to seek awakening. Heraclitus quit to seek truth. The Stoics quit anything that contradicts virtue. Different traditions, same structure. To refuse to quit anything is to refuse to choose. To stay on every path you once began is to let old decisions made by earlier versions of you govern your life. There is likely something in your life right now that belongs more to your past than to your future. A role that once fit, but now constricts. A version of success that no longer tells the truth. You may not stay because it is right. You may stay because leaving would fracture the story you once told about who you are. Heraclitus whispers that the river has changed, and so have you. The Buddha walks into the dark to find a deeper light. So, the philosophical guide to quitting doesn't end with a command, but with a question. What path are you on that might be steering you away from the person you truly want to become? If you can answer that honestly, quitting might not be the end of the story. It may be the beginning.